Bereshit 30, verse 7. Genesis 30, verse 7. Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, conceived again and bore Yaakov a second son. Rachel said, I have wrestled mightily with my sister and won, and called him Naphtali, meaning my wrestling. When Leah saw that she had stopped having children, she took Zilpah, her slave girl, and gave her to Yaakov, his wife. Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, bore Yaakov a son, and Leah said, Good fortune has come, calling him Gad. Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, bore Yaakov a second son, and Leah said, How happy I am! Women will say I am happy, and called him Asher, meaning happy. During the wheat harvest season, Reuven went and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother Leah. Rachel said to Leah, Please give me some of your son's mandrakes so that I can be fertile. She answered, Isn't it enough that you have taken away my husband? Do you also have to take my son's mandrakes too? Rachel said, Very well. In exchange for your son's mandrakes, sleep with him tonight. When Yaakov came in from the field in the evening, Leah went out to meet him and said, You have to come sleep with me because I have hired you with my son's mandrakes. So Yaakov slept with her that night. God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Yaakov a fifth son. Leah said, God has given me my hire because I gave my slave girl to my husband. So she called him Yishakar, meaning hire or reward. Again, and bore a sixth son to Yaakov. Leah said, God has given me a wonderful gift. Now at last my husband will live with me, since I've borne him six sons. And she called him Zebulun, meaning living together. After this, she gave birth to a daughter and named her Dinah. Controversy over rights. Then God took note of Rachel, heeded her prayer, and made her fertile. She conceived and had a son and said, God has taken away my disgrace. She called him Yosef, meaning may he add, saying, May Adonai add to me another son. After Rachel had given birth to Yosef, Yaakov said to Send me on my way so that I can return to my own place, to my own country. Let me take my wives for whom I have served you, and my children, and let me go. You know very well how faithfully I have served you. Laban answered him, If you regard me favorably, then please listen. I have observed the signs that Adonai has blessed me on account of you. Name your wages, he said, I will pay them. Yaakov replied, you know how faithfully I have served you, and how your livestock have prospered under my care. The few you had served The few you had before I came have increased substantially. Adonai has blessed you wherever I went. But now, when will I provide for my own household? Laban said, What should I give you? Nothing, answered Yaakov. Just do this one thing for me. Once more, I will pasture your flock and take care of it. I will also go through the flock and pick out every speckled, spotted, or brown sheep, and every speckled or spotted goat. These and their offering will be my wages. And I will let my integrity stand as witnesses against me in the future. When you come to look over the animals constituting my wages, every goat that isn't speckled or spotted, and every sheep that isn't brown, you will count as stolen by me. Laban replied, As you have said, so be it. That day, Laban removed the male goats that were streaked or spotted, and all the female goats that were speckled or spotted, every one with white on it, and all the brown sheep, turned them over to his sons, and put 3 days' distance between himself and Yaakov. Yaakov fed the rest of Laban's flocks. Yaakov took fresh-cut branches from poplar, almond, and plane trees, and made white streaks on them by peeling off the bark. Then he set the rods and he had peeled upright in the watering trough so that the animals would see them when they came to drink. And since they had bread when they came rods and gave birth to streaked, speckled, and spotted young. Yaakov divided the lambs that he had, the animals, streaks, and the brown in the flock to Laban. He also kept his own livestock separate and did not mix them with Laban's flock. Whenever the hardier animals came into heat, Yaakov would set up the rods in the watering troughs so that the animals would see them and conceive in front of them. But he didn't set up the rods in front of the weaker animals. Thus, the more feeble were Laban's and the stronger were Yaakov's. In this way, the man became very rich and had large flocks, along with male and female slaves, camels, and donkeys. Chapter 31. But then he heard what Laban's sons were saying. Yaakov has taken away everything that our father once had. It's from what used to belong to our father that he has gotten so rich. He also saw that Laban regarded him differently than before. Adonai said to Yaakov, "Return to the land of your ancestors, to your kinsmen. I will be with you." So Yaakov sent for Rachel and Leah and had them come to the field where his flock was. He said to them, "I see by the way your father looks that he feels differently toward me than before, but the God of my father has been with me. You know that I have served your father with all my strength, and that your father has belittled me and has changed my wages 10 times. But God did not allow him to do me any damage. If he said, 'The speckled will be your wages,' then all the animals gave birth to speckled young. And if he said, 'The streaked will be your wages,' then all the animals gave birth to streaked young. This is how God has taken away your father's animals and given them to me. Once, when the animals were mating, I had a dream. I looked up there in front of me were male goats, which mated with the females, were streaked, speckled, and mottled. Then in a dream, the angel of God said to me, 'Yaakov,' and I replied, 'Here I am.' He continued, 'Raise your eyes now and look. All the male goats mating with the females are streaked, speckled, and mottled. For I have seen everything Laban has been doing to you. I am the God of Bet-El, where you anointed a standing stone with oil, where you vowed your vow to me. Now get up, get out of this land, and return to the land where you were born.' Rachel and Leah answered him, 'We no longer have any inheritance from our father's possessions, and he considers us foreigners since he has sold us. Moreover, he has consumed everything here in exchange for us. Nevertheless, the wealth which God has taken away from our father has become ours and our children's anyway. So whatever God do. Then Yaakov got up, put his sons and wives on the camels, and carried off all his livestock, along with all the riches that he accumulated, the livestock in his possession which he had acquired in Padamaram, to go to Yitz'chak his father in the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep. So Rachel stole the household idols that belonged to her father, and Yaakov outwitted Laban and the Arami by not telling him of his intended flight. So he fled with everything he had. He departed, crossed the Euphrates River, and set out for the hill country of Gilead. Not until the third day was Laban told that Yaakov has fled. Laban took his kinsmen with him and spent the next 7 days pursuing Yaakov, overtaking him in the hill country of Gilead. But God came to Laban, the Arami, in a dream that night and said to him, "Be careful that you do not say anything to Yaakov, either good or bad." When Laban caught up with Yaakov, Yaakov had set up camp in the hill country. So Laban and his kinsmen set up camp in the hill country of Gilead. Laban said to Yaakov, "What do you mean by deceiving me and carrying off my daughters as if they were captives taken in war? Why did you flee in secret to deceive me and not tell me? I would have sent you off with joy and singing to the music of tambourines and lyres. You didn't even let me kiss my sons and daughters goodbye. What a stupid thing to do. I have it in my power to do you harm, but the God of your father spoke to me last night and said, be careful that you do not say anything to Yaakov, either good or bad. Granted that you had to leave because you longed so deeply for your father's house, but why did you steal my gods? Yaakov answered Laban, because I was afraid. I said, suppose you take your daughters away from me by force. But if you find your gods with someone, that person will not remain alive. So with our kinsmen to witness, if you spot anything that I have which belongs to you, take it back. Yaakov did not know that Rachel had stolen them. Laban went into Yaakov's tent, then into Leah's tent, then into the tent of the two slave girls, but he did not find them. He left Leah's tent and entered Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the household gods, put them in the saddle of the camel, and was sitting on them. Laban felt all around the tent, but did not find them. She said to her father, please do not be angry that I am not getting up in your presence, but it is the time of my period. So he searched, and he didn't find the household gods. Then Yaakov became angry and started arguing with Laban. What have I done wrong? He demanded. What is my offense? That you have come after me in hot pursuit. You have felt around in all my stuff, but what you have found in all your household goods. Put it here, in front of my kinsmen and yours, that they may render judgment between two of us. I have been with you for these 20 years. Your female sheep and goats haven't aborted their young, and I haven't eaten any male animals in your flocks. If one of your flock was destroyed by a wild animal, I didn't bring the carcass to you, but bore the loss myself. You demanded that I compensate you for any animal stolen, whether by day or by night. Here's how it was for me. During the day, thirst consumed me, and at night, the cold. My sleep fled from my eyes. These 20 years I've been in your house. I served you 14 years for your 2 daughters and 6 years for your flock. And you have changed my wages 10 times. If the God of my father, the God of Avram, the one whom Yitz'chak fears, had not been on my side, by now you would certainly have already sent me away with nothing. God has seen how distressed I've been and how hard I've worked, and last night he passed judgment in my favor. Laban answered Yaakov, the daughters are mine, the children are mine, the flocks are mine, and everything you see is mine. But what can I do today about these daughters of mine and the children they have borne? So now, come, let's make a covenant, I and you, and let it stand as a testimony between me and you. Yaakov took a stone and set it upright as a standing stone. Then Yaakov said to his kinsmen, gather some stones. And they took stones, made a pile of them, and ate there by the pile of stones. Laban called it Yigar Sahudata, pile of witnesses in Aramaic, while Yaakov called it Galed, pile of witnesses in Hebrew. Laban said, this pile of witnesses between me and you today, this is why it is called Galed, and also Hamitzvah, the watchtower, because he said, may Adonai watch between me and you when we are apart from each other. If you cause pain to my daughters, or if you take wives in addition to my daughters, then even if no one is there with us, still God will be a witness between me and you. Laban also said to Yaakov, here is this pile, and here is this standing stone, which I have set up between me and you. May this pile be a witness, and may the standing stone be a witness, that I will not pass beyond this pile to you, and you will not pass beyond this pile and this standing stone to me to cause harm. May the God of Avram and also the God of Nachor, the God of their father, judge between us. But Yaakov swore by the one his father Yitz'chak feared. Yaakov offered a sacrifice on the mountain and invited his kinsmen to the meal. They ate the food and spent the whole night on the mountain. Early in the morning, Laban got up, kissed his sons and daughters, and blessed them. Then Laban left and returned to his own place. Yaakov went on his way, and the angels of God met him. When Yaakov saw them, he said, "This is God's camp," and called that place Machanaim, two camps. Yaakov sent messengers ahead of him to Esav his brother toward the land of Seir, the country of Edom, with these instructions. "Here's what you are to say to my lord Esav. Your servant Yaakov says, I have been living with Laban and have stayed until now. I have cattle, donkeys, and flocks, and male and female servants. I'm sending to tell this news to my lord in order to win your favor." The messengers returned to Yaakov, saying, "We went to your brother Esau, and he is coming to meet you. With him are 400 men." Yaakov became greatly afraid and distressed. He divided the people, flocks, cattle, and camels with him into two camps, saying, "If Esau comes to the one camp and attacks it, at least the camp that is left will escape." Then Yaakov said, "God of my father Avram and God of my father Yitz'chak Adonai, who told me, 'Return to your country and to your kinsmen, and I will do you good.' I am not worthy of all the love and faithfulness you have shown your servant since I crossed the Yarden with only my staff. But now I have become two camps. Please rescue me from my brother Esau. I am afraid of him, afraid he'll come and attack me, without regard for mothers or children. You said, 'I will certainly do you good and make your descendants as numerous as the grains of the sand by the sea, which are so many they can't be counted.'" He stayed there that night. Then he chose from among his possessions the following as a present for Esau, his brother: 200 female goats, 20 males, 200 female sheep, 20 males, 30 milk camels and their colts, 40 cows and 10 bulls, 20 female donkeys and 10 colts. He turned them over to his servants, every drove by itself, and said to his servants, "Cross over in front of me and keep a space between each drove and the next one." He instructed the servant in front, "When Esau, my brother, meets you and asks you, 'Those whose servant are you? Where are you going? And whose animals are these?' Then you are to say, 'They belong to your servant Yaakov, and they are present that he has sent my lord Esau. And Yaakov himself is just behind us.'" He also instructed the second servant and the third, and all that followed the droves. "When you encounter Esau, you are to speak to him in the same way. You are to add, 'And there, just behind us, is your servant Yaakov.' For he said, 'I will appease him first with the present that goes ahead of me. Then, after that, I will see him myself, and maybe he will be friendly toward me.'" So the present crossed over ahead of him. He himself stayed that night in the camp. He got up that night, took his 2 wives, his 2 slave girls, and 11 children, and forded the Yabok. He took them and sent them across the stream, then sent his possessions across. And Yaakov was left alone. Then some man wrestled with him until daybreak. When he saw what he did not defeat Yaakov, he struck Yaakov's hip socket, so that the hip was dislocated while wrestling with him. The man said, "Let me go, because it's daybreak." But Yaakov replied, "I won't let you go unless you bless me." The man asked, "What is your name?" And he answered, "Yaakov." Then the man said, "From now on, you will no longer be Yaakov, but Israel, because you have shown your strength to both man and God and have prevailed." Yaakov asked him, "Please tell me your name." But he answered, "Why are you asking about my name?" and blessed him there. Yaakov called the place Peniel, face of God, because I have seen God face to face, and yet my life is spared. As the sun rose upon him, he went on past Peniel, limping at the hip. This is why to this day the people of Israel do not eat the thigh muscle that passes along the hip socket, because the man struck Yaakov's hip at his socket. Chapter 33. Yaakov raised his eyes and looked out, and there was Esau coming, and 400 men with him. So Yaakov divided the children between Leah, Rachel, and the two slave girls, putting the slave girls and their children first, Leah and her children second, and Rachel and Joseph last. Then he himself passed ahead of them and prostrated himself on the ground 7 times before approaching his brother. Esav ran to meet him, hugged him, threw his arms around his neck, and kissed him, and they wept. Esav looked up. On seeing the women and children, he asked, "Are these with you? Who are these with you?" Yaakov answered, "The children God has graciously given to your servant." Then the slave girls approached with their children, and they prostrated themselves. Leah too and her children approached and prostrated themselves, and last came Joseph and Rachel, and they prostrated themselves. Esav asked, "What was the meaning of this possession of droves I encountered?" He answered, "It was to win my lord's favor." Esau replied, "I have plenty already, my brother. Keep your possessions for yourself." Yaakov said, "No, please. If now I have won your favor, then accept my gift. Just seeing your face has been like seeing the face of God, now that you have received me. So please accept the gift that I have brought you, for God has dealt kindly with me, and I have enough." Thus he urged him until he accepted it. Esav said, "Let's break camp and get going. I'll go first." Yaakov said to him, "My Lord knows that the children are small, and the sheep and cattle suckling their young concern me, because if they overdrive them even one day, all the flocks will die. Instead, please let my Lord go on ahead of his servant. I will travel more slowly at the pace of the cattle ahead of me, and at the pace of the children, until I come to my Lord in Seir." Esau replied, "Then let me leave with you some of the people I have with me." But Yaakov answered, "There is no need for my Lord to be so kind to me." So Esau left that day and returned to Seir. Yaakov went on to Sukkot, where he built himself a house and put up shelters for his cattle. This is why the place is called Sukkot, shelters. Having traveled from Padam Aram, Yaakov arrived safely at the city in Canaan and set up camp near the city. From the sons of Hamar, Shechem's father, he bought for 100 pieces of silver the parcel of land where he had pitched his tent. There he put up an altar, which he had called El El Eloi Yisrael, God, the God of Israel. Chapter 34. One time, Dinah, the daughter of Leah, whom she had borne to Yaakov, went out to visit the local girls, and Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the local ruler, saw her, grabbed her, raped her, and humiliated her. But actually, he was strongly attracted to Dinah, the daughter of Yaakov. He fell in love with the girl and tried to win her affection. Shechem spoke with his father Hamor and said, "Get this girl for me. I want her to be my wife." When Yaakov heard that he had defiled Dinah, his daughter, his sons were with his livestock in the field. So Yaakov restrained himself until they came. Hamor, the father of Shechem, went out to Yaakov to speak with him, just as Yaakov's son was coming in from the field. When they heard what had happened, the men were saddened and were very angry at the outrage that this man had committed against Israel by raping Yaakov's daughter, something that is simply not done. But Hamor said to them, "My son Shechem's heart is set on your daughter. Please give her to him as his and intermarry with us. Give your daughters to us and take our daughters for yourselves. You will live with us and the land will be available to you. You'll live, do business, and acquire possessions here." Then Shechem said to her father and brothers, "Only accept me, and I will give whatever you tell me. Ask as large a bride price as you like. I will pay whatever you tell me. Just let me marry the girl." The sons of Yaakov answered Shechem and Hamor, his father, deceitfully, because he had defiled Dinah, their sister. They said to him, "We can't do it because it would it would be a disgrace to give our sister to someone who hasn't been circumcised. Only on this condition we will consent to what you are asking, that you become like us by having every male among you get circumcised. Then we'll give our daughters to you, and we'll take your daughters for ourselves, and we'll live with you and become one people. But if you don't do as we say and get circumcised, then we'll take our daughter and go away. What they had said seemed fair to Hamor and Shechem, the son of Hamor. And the young man did not put off doing what was asked of him, even though he was most respected member of his father's family, because he so much wanted Yaakov's daughter. Hamor and Shechem his son came to the entrance of their city and spoke with its leading men. These people are peaceful towards us, therefore let them live in the land and do business in it. For as you can see, the land is large enough for them. Let us take their daughters as wives for ourselves, and we'll give them our daughters. But the people will consent to live with us and become one people only on this condition, that every male among us gets circumcised, and that they themselves are circumcised. Won't their cattle, their possessions, and all their animals be ours? Only let's consent to do what they ask, and then they will live with us. Everyone going out the city gates listened to Hamor and Shechem his son. So every male was circumcised, everyone that went out the gate of the city. On the third day after circumcision, when they were in pain, two of Yaakov's sons, Shimon and Levi, Dinah's brothers, took their swords, boldly descended on the city, and slaughtered all the males. They killed Hamor and Shechem and his son with their swords, took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and left. Then the sons of Yaakov entered over the dead bodies and those who had been slaughtered, and plundered the city in reprisal for defiling their sister. They took their flocks, cattle, and donkeys, and everything else, whether in the city or in the field, everything they owned. Their children and wives they took captive, and they looted whatever was in the houses. But Yaakov said to Shimon and Levi, you have caused me trouble by making me stink in the opinion of the local inhabitants, the Canaani, and the Perizzim. Since I don't have many people, they'll align themselves together against me and attack me, and I will be destroyed, I and my household. They replied, should we let our sister be treated like a whore? Chapter 35. God said to Yaakov, get up, go to Bethel, and live there, and make there an altar to God, who appeared to you when you fled Esau, your brother. Then Yaakov said to his household and all the others with him, get rid of the foreign gods that you have with you, purify yourself, and put on fresh clothes. We are going to move on and get up to Bethel. There I will build an altar to God, who aided me when I was in such distress and stayed with me wherever I went. They gave Yaakov all the foreign gods in their possession and the earrings they were wearing, and Yaakov buried them under the pistachio tree near Shechem. While they were traveling, a terror from God fell upon the cities around them, so that no one of them pursued them, the sons of Yaakov. Yaakov and all the people with him arrived at Luz, that is Bethel, in the land of Canaan. He built there an altar and called the place El Bethel, God of Bethel, because it was there that God revealed to him at the time when he was fleeing from his brother. Then Deborah, Rechab's nurse, died. She was buried below Bethel under the oak, which was given the name Alon Bakut, Oak of Weeping. After Yaakov arrived from Padamaram, God appeared to him again and blessed him. God said to him, your name is Yaakov, but you will be called Yaakov no longer. Your name will be Israel. Thus he named him Israel. God further said to him, I am El Shaddai. Be fruitful and multiply. A nation, indeed, a group of nations, will come from you. Kings will be descended from you. Moreover, the land which I gave to Avram and Yitz'chak, I will give to you. I will give you the land of your descendants after I will give the land to your descendants after you. Then God went up from him there where he had spoken with him. Yaakov set up a standing stone in the place where he had spoken with him, a stone pillar. Then he poured out a drink offering on it and poured oil on it. Yaakov called the place where God spoke with him Bet El. Then they traveled from Bet El, and while there was still some distance to go before arriving to Ephrat, Rachel went into labor. She had great difficulty with it. While she was undergoing this hard labor, the midwife said to her, Don't worry, this is also a son for you. But she died in childbirth. As she was dying, she named the son Ben-Oni, son of my grief. But his father called him Benjamin, the son of the right hand, son of the south. So Rachel died and was buried on the way to Ephrat, that is Bethlehem. Yaakov set up a standing stone on her grave. It is the standing stone of Rachel's grave to this day. Israel continued in his travels and pitched his tent to the other side of Migdal Eder. It was while Israel was living in the land that Reuben went and slept with Bilhah, his father's concubine, and Israel heard about it. Yaakov had 12 sons. The sons of Leah were Reuben, Yaakov's firstborn, Shimon, Levi, Yehuda, Issachar, and Zebulun. The sons of Rachel were Joseph and Benjamin. The sons of Bilhah, Rachel's slave girl, were Dan and Naphtali. And the sons of Zilpah, Leah's slave girl, were Gad and Asher. These were Yaakov's sons, born to him in Padan Aram. Yaakov came home to his father Yitz'chak at Mamre, near Kiryat Arba, also known as Hebron, where Avram and Yitzchak had lived as foreigners. Yitzchak lived to be 180 years old. Then he breathed his last, died, and was gathered to his people, an old man full of years, and his sons Esav and Yaakov buried him.